All right, this is my assignment number 2, Messenger. So the first thing I do is import sys getopt os socket. The first function I use is usage. So if it's not the local host, it's reminding to include the port number and the server address. The next thing I do is the server connection, which is the listening function. So the first thing I do is create the socket, check the socket flags, bind it to the bind it to the available interface, listen for the connection and accept 5 backlogs, and then accept the connection with a new socket and address, and then return the socket. This is the client connection. So I do the same thing. I create the socket. So if the server, if server, we connect to the given server. If not, we connect to the local host, and then we return the socket. So I have a send function here, which sends the length of the message, and then receive will receive the message up to the amount of 1024 data. Right here is my main function. So the first line here takes the arguments and other options. So I default is server to false. So for command arguments in command, if command is equal to the flag, or the listing flag, is server is true. We grab the other arguments using the length of O, which would be the other options. For port, we assign to the first argument in O, and then server is none. So if host num is equal to 2, server we assign server the second argument. And then we create the sockets. So if server, which means it's a server, we create the socket, and then we listen for the port number. Then if it's not the server, we go else, and we create the socket, and this time we connect with the given server address and port number. I then import from receive message, import receive message, which is this function over here, which I'll get to in a second. So we do receive message sock.start, which will start receiving the messages, and we do a while loop. So while true, we have message equals system standard line standard input read line in code. So this is just a message standard input. So if it's not message, so if it's 0, break the loop. If not, we socket.send the message if it's server or client, except, so we just exit. So we try to shut it down and we close the socket, then we pass. So going back to the import that I did from receive message. So in import, we do OS, threading, and sys. So it's a class this time, class receive message. So threading.thread is what's set up in there. So we have definition init self sock. So practically right here, it creates the new thread, and it's right here sets the sock attribute to itself, or it gives it an attribute. Then we run it. So while true, we try msg bytes equals self.sock.received 1024. So we check it receives messages from socket from messenger.py or .py, and then except we just exit if it didn't receive anything, and if we check the length of the message bytes and print out message byte.decode comma and equals to what are those asterisks. And else, we just close the socket, and then os._exit 0, we shut down the entire program. Thank you.